Hi guys, welcome to Soul Pepper's channel. It is day 9 of the 21-day gratitude challenge. Today is Thursday, April 27th, 2017, and I'm super grateful to be making this video. I have a couple of things that I want to share with you that I hope will be useful to you as I've gained a couple more insights by practicing gratitude on a regular basis. And I think I remember telling you last week that the more present, that I realized that the more grateful I was, the more present I was becoming, the more I was appreciating being in the present moment. And so what I'm coming to realize now is that, my time is super valuable. Now, it's not that before I didn't realize how valuable my time was, but being present and living in the now has made me realize more than ever that every second, every minute, every hour that passes is a moment that I can't get back. So essentially, what am I doing to make my time count? What am I doing in the now to make it worthwhile? See, sometimes we get lost in our thoughts and, we think too much about the past and we tend to reminisce the past, either with a sense of nostalgia and wishing we could go back and live in the past, or wishing for the good old days, or sometimes we're just stuck in memories of a bad past that we can't seem to really get over or let go. But the reality is, even when we have these thoughts and we're living in the past, so to speak, we're not really living in the past because we can't go back into the past. We can only move forward. And so the past only presents itself as memories that are in our minds, that we keep in our minds. And we revisit only as memories, but never as something we can truly go back and change. And so what's important then is that if we keep being stuck in the past, then we are stunting our own personal growth, because we are keeping in that pattern of being in the past and repeating the habits potentially of the past without really taking the path to evolution and changing a couple of things here and there. And so one of the things that I noticed actually as a function of my appreciation of the present moment is that I value my time. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, something really interesting happened to me. This was like the insight that I got from that was I was pretty busy. I had meetings almost all day, and I had this meeting slated for 11 to 12, and I show up for the meeting actually a little bit earlier, and the person that I was meant to meet with was not available. So I waited about 10 minutes, and I thought to myself, what could I be doing in this time? Now, granted, the meeting was meant to be an hour, but I thought to myself, and yes, I had blocked off, that hour for that specific meeting. But then I thought to myself, even though I've blocked out this hour, it doesn't mean I have to sit here for 45 minutes waiting for somebody to show up. And so there is something more important that I could also be doing during this time rather than wasting this time just sitting around. And so what I did was call the actual office number, and it went to voicemail a couple of times. And so what I did was I left a message for this individual and said, hey, it's Dr. Kate here for the 11 o'clock meeting, and I've been waiting for a few minutes now, and I think that what we really need to do is reschedule this meeting. If I don't hear from you within the next 2 minutes, then I think we're going to have to reschedule because I have other things planned for the day. And guess what? Literally 2 minutes later, this person came to get me to go in for the meeting, and they were apologetic. Oh, I'm so sorry, and all of that stuff. But I'm telling you this story not because I had an attitude and I was like, oh, I'm gonna show you, if you don't. But I really was saying, my time is valuable. If I don't hear from you in X amount of time, then I think we can always reschedule for a time when it's convenient for both of us, because, what I really wanted to communicate at that point was that, my time is valuable. And I think that they were able to get that message. and I don't think that's going to happen again. But I want to encourage you to value your time and what you spend in that time. And the reality is, if you don't value your time, people won't respect your time as well, right? So it's like you teach people how to treat you, but also whatever it is that you allow is always going to persist. So if you allow people to waste your time, then they're going to continue to not value your time. But if you're able to communicate with respect and love that, hey, my time is valuable, then people will treat you accordingly. And what I've also realized in this journey of practicing gratitude is that, when I wake up and find things to be grateful for, and I'm truly grateful for the things that are happening around me or for the people that I am meeting, I realize that sometimes, looking back at the times when I was not grateful, I realize that sometimes if we're not mindful, we can tend to become victims, so to speak, right? And think that things are happening to us. Life is happening to us. So in effect, we are communicating when we are being victims of our circumstances that we have no power and we have no control over the things that are happening in our lives. And instead, we are being acted upon by the environment. But that's not true, because we're not animals. We have cognitive faculties, and that's what differentiates us from animals. It's like we have a more complex brain. We're able to think and reason, and we're able to make choices. And so even in the midst of things that might be going on that make you feel stumped and feel hopeless and helpless, there's always something to be grateful for. And what I've found is that if we can find one thing to be grateful for, it will link to a second and a third and a fourth thing to be grateful for. And eventually being in that space where we're grateful it kind of helps give clarity to your mind and open up the space for creative ideas, and in effect, a potential, opens up the potentialities for you to be able to find creative solutions to these things that are holding you down. So I've realized, and I want to share with you, that life is not happening to you. Life is happening for you. Okay? So if you're in a situation where you're feeling stuck and feeling like there's no way out and asking, why is this happening to me and what's going on? Change the way you look at things, right? And I think I talked about that last week. I was saying that, always try to find a deeper meaning and in situations or events in such a way that it causes the least emotional damage to you. And so when you frame it this way and begin to realize that life is not happening to you and all these things are happening to you and you're helpless, like there's nothing you can do, adapt the perspective that life is happening for you. What does that mean? It means that every person and every event, every circumstance that comes into your life, whether you perceive it to be positive or negative, all those circumstances have been molded together for you to facilitate your growth spiritually, more importantly, because the spiritual man dictates the nature and the character of the physical man or woman. Let me not be sexist or be accused of being sexist, but you get my point, right? So whatever the circumstance is, or whatever is going on, like all these things that are happening, and especially when times are hard, because hard times and difficult challenges always build character. It's because sometimes we have to go through the fire to be refined and to come out on the other side with strong character. So essentially what I'm trying to say is that even in difficult situations, those situations are working to your advantage, right? They exist to teach you something about yourself. So you're the student, and all these difficult circumstances, and yes, even difficult people, are there to teach you something. So if you're able to adopt the mindset of a student and say to yourself, okay, this situation's difficult, but I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to learn something here. life is happening for me. So what is life trying to teach me? Is it trying to build my resilience? Is it trying to make me become a more responsible individual? Is it trying to teach me to be more selfless and to be other-centered as opposed to self-centered? What part of my spiritual journey can this experience be used to enhance, to cause me to evolve, to become even more spiritual? This is how we should be looking at the circumstances in our lives. Instead of blaming everyone and everything around us, we should be able to kind of embrace what's happening to us, even in those times, and finding the deeper meaning and using that to propel us and move us forward so that we can come out changed and be more evolved and more strong and have stronger character. And so that's where lack of gratitude becomes an issue. Because, when things happen and you think life is happening to you, then you become ungrateful, blaming everyone and everything. But you have to remember, the world owes you nothing. Zilch, nada, rien, nothing. The world owes you nothing. People in your life owe you nothing. No one owes you anything. So if you're always focusing on things that people could have done for you, or things that people haven't done for you, or events that didn't work out for you but worked out for other people, that's being ungrateful. What you really should be thinking about, really, and the point that I'm trying to make is that the world owes you nothing, but in fact, you owe the world something. You have gifts and you have talents and you have resources that are unlocked, that are locked up within you. But how well are you using those resources? What are you doing with the gifts that you have been given to change the world around you? What are you using your gifts for, your talents for? How have you used them to bless another person? How have you used them to meet the needs or to bridge the gaps between people, between hearts, between, there's so much in the world that we could give of ourselves. And so if we're not using them, but we expect the world to give to us, then it's the wrong mentality that we have. We really should be thinking about what we should be offering up of ourselves to the world. And truly, if you look at a lot of these successful people, they're not just successful because they were selfish or greedy. Most of these people who are successful are really great philanthropists. They're always giving and giving and giving of themselves, giving of their time, giving of their resources, essentially to help other individuals pull them up. And that's kind of the mentality. You might say, well, I don't have anything to give, but that's not true. You have a smile to give. You have kindness. You could be kind to the next person. You could stop thinking about your problems for a second and snap out of that and look at the next person and really talk to them and really try to meet the needs of other people. So you really should be, and we really should be focusing on being grateful for what we have, because the more grateful we are for what we have, the more we shall receive of that. So rather than focusing on receiving from the world, focus on giving. Offer your best to the world, and it shall be returned to you in direct proportion. So whatever value or whatever portion of yourself, your gifts and talents that you offer to the world, if you do a half-assed job, you're going to get half-assed stuff back. So focus on offering the best of yourself, and it shall be returned to you in direct proportion. I love you guys. Be inspired. Spread the love, and I'll see you on Saturday. Ciao.